I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the shocking case of former Momfluencer and family vlogger Ruby Franke. She once had millions of followers and was raising 6 children. Now, she is locked up and alone. Here's the story. In 2015, Ruby Franke launched the YouTube channel 8 Passengers, offering an intimate glimpse into her life in Utah with husband Kevin and their 6 children. The channel rapidly gained popularity, amassing approximately 2.5 million subscribers and over 1 billion views by 2020. However, as the audience grew, so did scrutiny over Ruby's stringent parenting methods. Incidents such as her son being forced to sleep on a beanbag for 7 months and her daughter being sent to school without lunch raised alarms about potential child abuse. Despite public concern and petitions alleging neglect, the Frankes defended their disciplinary approaches. The channel's popularity waned, leading to its deletion in 2022. Subsequently, Ruby collaborated with counselor Jodi Hildebrandt, co-founding Connections, a platform offering parenting classes. In August of 2023, Ruby and Jodi were arrested on charges of aggravated child abuse after Ruby's malnourished son escaped and sought help. Both pleaded guilty and in February of 2024 received consecutive prison sentences ranging from 4 to 30 years. This case has ignited discussions about the ethics of family vlogging and led to legislative changes in Utah to protect minors in online content. Where this ended up, I don't think anyone necessarily saw. Ruby Franke, extremely popular, but the more popular you get, the more critics there will be out there. And people were, making videos about her videos, and suddenly she was controversial, and that's when a lot of people started talking about her, people outside of her world. But then things went like really dark when they entered our world here at Court TV, and we ended up with a criminal prosecution of a momfluencer for the abuse of her own children. Unreal story. It started, I think, relatively innocently. Posting some family videos, and then people were interested in the family. I want to show you a sample of some of the early videos from the 8 Passengers YouTube channel.
I'm trying to make it sound beautiful, and it's not working.
You have been waiting for 2 years for today.
Welcome to my recital. I've been working on the songs for
Once a year on Thanksgiving, I want to at least see you in a half-decent shirt. That's not his school uniform. And you look handsome. And he doesn't want it to be recorded. Helping Grandma in the kitchen. Getting ready for our big feast.
So that's a little taste of what this was. It changed, it evolved or devolved, depending upon your perspective of all this, but ended up in a criminal case. And with all the publicity here in this particular YouTube channel and this defendant and what happened to these children, Utah ends up with a new law that has been signed and passed. I want you to take a look at a little bit of it. This is a Utah bill called Child Actor Regulations, requires that a parent or guardian establish a trust for a minor involved in entertainment. This is entertainment. Establishes a formula for a content creator to calculate the percentage of any earnings from social media that feature a minor and to transfer the earnings to the minor's trust. Grants an individual featured in social media content as a minor a right of deletion. Requires that a social media company maintain a readily available process by which an individual featured in social media content as a minor may request that a content creator delete content featuring the individual featured in social media content as a minor. And this had, you know, support of other members of Ruby Franke's family. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. And it begins about this law. Will this law protect children? Does it go far enough? Will momfluencers and family vloggers, because it could be dad also, will they abide by these rules, and does it do enough? Let's bring in some experts to help us. Joining us, author, speaker, public relations expert, founder and CEO of Leverage with Media PR, and very importantly, a former mommy influencer and vlogger. Lauren Cobello is with us. Also joining us, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert, witness, author, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Great to have you both here. This is something. First, your initial reactions to the law, because I know, Lauren, you were working and trying to get something done as well.
Yeah, I mean, the law is something that I think is a very important piece, but it's definitely also something that I'm not exactly sure is going to pass in every single state. You know, it's in Utah right now. You know, as somebody who started a family vlog back in 2006, you know, it was the wild, wild west when we all started. There were no laws, there was no protection. And, you know, I think that this is something that parents do need to follow. And, you know, there's protection in like SAG-AFTRA and things like that for child actors, but there's never been protection for kids with the internet. And so I think this is a really good step forward to protect those kids. However, who's going to be watching over this? That's my big question. Who's going to be mandating that this is followed? It's such a big scope. Who's going to be making sure it's followed? I don't know, Vinnie.
It was interesting because I was looking up family vloggers or momfluencers just in the state of Utah, and the first thing that pops up is a list. The top 60 mom influencers I mean, those are just the top 60 of however many, what, 6,000, 60,000? I don't know. All right, I want to take a look at some more of this. We'll hear Ruby Franke yelling at her kids, and at the end, we'll hear her son, Chad. This is from the trailer for the Hulu documentary, Devil in the Family.
Sit her down on the flipping couch. Okay, move it. If I hear one more word, get out. Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
All right, Dr. Carol Lieberman, that's a flavor of when things got a little more intense with Ruby Franke. What are your thoughts about this law? Will it protect children?
Well, you know, it's a very fine line because on the one hand, we don't want the law, the government, to get too much into the lives of families. I mean, too restrictive. On the other hand, it is a step in the right direction. But if you think about it with Ruby, like if this law was in effect before she got caught, before she did what she did, I don't think it was just the money that was a concern for her. I think it was more about the fame, and I think it was also a way to get back at her parents for the way that they parented her. So there are other things that really don't, you know, that wouldn't be curtailed because of this law. Now, I think it's great, of course, the idea of putting money aside for the children. I think that that's definitely proper. You know, they're, and especially also for child actors as well, not just on the internet. But as far as like really dissuading people from becoming momfluencers or vloggers, I don't really think it's going to do much with that.
Let's take a listen. I want you to hear from the children now. Chad Franke on Good Morning America. Take a listen.
I mean, we would go on, you know, big YouTube trips, and, you know, there would be so many family vloggers there with so many kids and cameras out, and, you know, the stuff that my mom did behind the scenes, like, you know, yelling or get back in place or say that again, or, you know, the sternness, that wasn't just my mom as well. I mean, a lot of, you know, vloggers and parents who are putting their kids on camera, they act the exact same. It was a chaotic experience. So lots of yelling, lots of snapping, and lots of timeouts in the corner.
I also want to take a listen to Kevin Franke reading, he's Ruby's husband, reading a letter from the children.
When I started getting older, I realized the YouTube channel had ruined my childhood. But at least I got some money, right? Oh, right. I actually didn't because my mom withdrew all of it in 2023.
All right, Lauren Cabela, your thoughts about all of this from the child's perspective, and how are your children doing?
Yeah, so I remember when my son who's now almost 20 was in 7th grade, and he told me, Mom, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And so I gave him that choice, and he wasn't in a video from there on out. And then I remember again in 9th grade, he found his friends watching our old videos, and he was just so embarrassed. And I remember at that moment feeling like, oh my gosh, what did I do, right, to my kids to put them in this position? Now, at that point, it was so new, like, you know, the internet was new, YouTube was new, so we didn't really know what was happening at that time. But I do think that kids need to have a voice. And so I gave my son that voice, and from that moment on, I gave my daughters a voice, and they always had that voice of, do you want to participate in this? And my kids also, not only, you know, did they do YouTube, they went on national television with me. You know, they were on national TV shows with me and things like that as well. And I didn't set money aside. Like, that wasn't an option in my mind as something that was even, you know, an opportunity or a possibility. So I think, you know, she made a great point where yes, the money going aside is great, but there's so much more. There's so much deeper that goes on. And I've been at a lot of these mommy blogger events where, you know, there's a lot of kids and you're run like a tight ship. And Utah is the hub for mommy influencers. I mean, that's where all the top ones live. And I don't know, there's like communities of almost houses of mommy influencers in Utah. That's the hub where all the biggest ones are, which is crazy to me. But it's a part of like that whole community down there, and something has to stop. But it's not just the money part. It's they have to give their children a voice, which I ended up doing, and then actually ended up switching careers, you know, and opening up a PR agency and getting away from being an influencer. But it's something that even with my clients now, we're talking about this. You know, when I have a client that comes on that has kids, like, we need to be talking about this. Are
Absolutely.
Your children involved?
Yeah.
You know?
And the one thing the law does, it creates that deletion option. So I guess for like your children, oh, my friends are looking at this stuff from, you know, 3 years ago. Now, boom, delete, delete, delete. Okay, Lauren and Dr. Carol Liebman staying with us. Coming up next, is there an upside to family vlogging?
So Sherry had this idea, maybe me and Julie are gonna assign everyone a seat on the kid table for Thanksgiving dinner.
Before next week's season premiere of Interview with a Killer, relive the most shocking moments of season 1.
Tell me, why are you here?
She needed payback for what she did.
You meet someone that make you angry and you shoot them. Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer Marathon, Sunday at 7. And season 2 starts Sunday, April 13th, only on Court TV.
So Sherry had this idea, maybe me and Julie are gonna assign everyone a seat on the kid table for Thanksgiving dinner.
Mark the green, leave. Ross still got another bingo. Do the vote.
Oh, man. Goldfish bingo's hard when your cousin eats them.
That's fix my hair.
See you guys later.
So we've got, what does this mean?
Get dressed.
Get dressed. Did you get dressed? What does this mean?
Brush your teeth.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yes.
There's the kinder, gentler Ruby Franke in some of the early 8 Passengers videos, and you could see, you know, spending time with the kids, spending time, you know, mom and the kids, you know, family time. So what we did is we took a look at some examples of some other popular mom vloggers on YouTube so you get a better flavor for it. Take a look.
Hey friends, so today we are talking about how to raise capable kids.
To me, when I just hear that word, I think of kids should know how to do things by themselves and not needing help.
Knowing things that can affect you later on in your life.
I've never seen anything like that. Is that actually real?
Yeah, it's actually real.
That's so beautiful. Let's keep it. And now I'm going to Grandma. I'm going to Grandma, and now it'll be fun, and then we go just over there.
It's their super conditioning stuff, so clearly my hair needs it right now. They have like a shampoo and conditioner. I think they have a leave-in too, which I'll probably get because my hair desperately needs it.
Daddy, those waves are huge.
Those big waves.
By the way, all those vloggers from Utah, which apparently is the hub, and that brings me to the next question in our investigation, because all of that looked pretty positive to a certain extent. Is there an upside to family vlogging, right? Can't be all bad, can it? Still with us, our guests, Lauren Cabello, former mommy influencer, and Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, when I think of this, I'm like, what could the upside be? More family time together, right? More doing things together, spending quality time together. The camera's rolling, but at least we're together. These children are not being abandoned. What do you see? Is there an upside from your perspective?
Well, but you know, you could be doing lots of things with your kids other than filming them all the time, you know, and having family time. I think only in very specific kinds of cases would there be a good enough rationale. For example, if you felt strongly about something, about how to raise your kids in a certain way, that the best way or the healthiest way is doing such and such, like if you felt religion was really important and you showed your children going to church and how they were afterwards, or if you had a child who was autistic or a child who had some other disability and you wanted to show how you can make that a positive thing and how they've been really coming along and how, you know, what a wonderful member of the family they are and how you can deal with these kinds of issues, something really strong. Or if you felt like some kind of sport was particularly good to make a family, to make kids strong and to make a family have togetherness, like horseback riding, for example, and you showed all your kids riding horses. You know, if there was some method to the madness, other than making sort of fools of themselves, because we're all voyeurs. We like to see what's going on in people's homes, but just like with reality TV, we like the bloopers. We like when people mess up, and that's really not something great to put your kids, you know, give them that opportunity.
I get it. Lauren, how about from your perspective? Is there an upside as you look back at it all?
Oh, I mean, there were definitely many, many upsides. I was flown and took my kids on many all-inclusive vacations for totally free, just to post about it. I didn't pay for my kids' Christmas presents for many, many, many years because I would just pitch the brands and they would give us free presents. So I didn't pay for my kids' Christmas presents. Events that I wanted to go to, you know, I didn't pay for, you know, certain things on ice and certain, you know, monster truck things and certain kids events. Like I could take my kids pretty much anywhere for free as long as I posted about it. And so, you know, I have 4 children. They're 11, 13, 15, and 19 right now. And I started this when my youngest was 5. And so I ended it, you know, 4 years ago. But during that time, I didn't pay for most of our family activities. And I kind of crossed the line and said, no, I'm not going past this line. You know, I would do family vacations, right? Those types of things. I didn't do things where my kids had to act per se, of like, you know, try this thing and tell us how to like it. You know, a lot of family vloggers do that. to me, I did more like family activities type of things, but I got so much for free. To be honest, I probably made more money as a family vlogger than I do owning a PR agency. You make so much money, and a lot of these women are making $1 million plus a year doing what they're doing. And not only in brand deals, but in free things and in ad revenue and in speaking engagements and all of that. It's very, very lucrative. And I don't think that people understand that it is a full-time job and a career. And the more you get your kids involved, the more money that you can make.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we love seeing the kids. I mean, they're the cute ones, they're the funny ones.
Yep. And all the brands want to see what the kids are saying about their products. So they want the kids to review it. And so that's why there's all these like unboxing videos and, you know, things like that, and unboxing YouTube videos and channels and kids gaming channels. You know, all the brands want to see that, and that's what they're paying the big money for.
Dr. Carol Liebman, I'll give you the last word. We have about 30 seconds here.
Toll. Okay, you get all these great free things and trips and so on, but there is a toll. There's no free lunch, really. The kids don't know when they're saying it at their young ages how this is going to be affecting them later and what they are giving up for this. So I think, you know, great, everybody loves money, but, you know, I think you have to look at where the toll is, where you paid for it in other places.
Well,
I agree.
This was great insights. Lauren Cabello, Dr. Carol Liebman, thank you both for joining us. Great to see you. All right, coming up, Ruby Franke's former counselor and podcast partner, Jodi Hildebrandt. What did she do? I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of our investigation is a woman who is the former counselor for Ruby Franke and her husband. She also had Ruby move into her home with her children after Ruby's husband left the family home. Then she was convicted of abusing Ruby's children. Here's the story. Jodi Hildebrandt, a licensed therapist in Utah since 2005, founded Connections, a counseling service, in 2007. In 2022, Hildebrandt partnered with Ruby Franke, a family vlogger known for her 8 Passengers YouTube channel. Together, they launched their own YouTube channel and an Instagram account under the Connections brand, offering parenting advice and classes. On August 30th, 2023, Hildebrandt and Franke were arrested in Ivins, Utah, and charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse. The arrests occurred after Franke's 12-year-old son escaped from Hildebrandt's house, appearing emaciated and with open wounds bound by duct tape. Authorities discovered another malnourished child in the home, leading to the removal of 4 of Franke's children into protective custody. In December of 2023, Hildebrandt pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. She was sentenced to 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years in prison, with a maximum potential sentence of 30 years under Utah law. It's a strange story. It's bizarre how you ended up where this ended up. So Jodi Hildebrandt, who's supposed to be some sort of a counselor, supposed to help a family, ends up abusing the children in that family. Take a look. This is her entering her guilty plea.
Ms. Hildebrandt, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, also aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
Guilty, 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 guilty. So that brings us to the first question in our investigation. And it's all about Jodi Hildebrandt. What did Jodi Hildebrandt do here? What exactly did she do? How did she do it? Why did she do it? Joining me on the phone, a former client of Jodi Hildebrandt, Adam Steed, is joining us. Also with us, host of the Mormon Stories podcast, John DeLynn, is here as well. Great to have you both here. Before we begin speaking, I just want folks to see this. This is the raid of Jodi Hildebrandt's home, the one after one of the children escapes from the home, goes to a neighbor. Then there's a raid. Let's take a look.
Jodi, I need you to step out.
I have my turn.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the house.
Step out of the house. Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just going to step in the house. Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they go into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there. I'll explain everything after. Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant, sir?
Control 12x11. Can you hold there? We're searching the house.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay. Just have a seat right there for me.
Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
We'll explain everything after this, ma'am.
But why are you coming into my house without a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
But that doesn't make sense. You come into my house and do what you want, and then you tell me you don't have a
No,
warrant?
we'll explain why we did.
But don't you have to have a warrant?
Not at this moment, we don't. We're here on exigent circumstances. And I'll explain it after this, after my sergeant and the officer are done clearing the house.
Exigent circumstances. They were making sure there were no other children in danger inside that home. All right, John DeLynn, this question, what did Jodi Hildebrandt do? How would you describe what she did here?
Torture. I believe torturing the children is the best brief description. It's maybe impossible to know exactly what Ruby did versus what Jodi did, but everything from hog tying at least the son, causing deep wounds or lacerations on his wrists, to torturous remedies like honey and cayenne pepper on the wounds, waterboarding like treatment, forcing them to do extreme exercises and labor and work for hours or all day long in 110, 120 degree heat in St. George, Utah. Starvation, dehydration of the children, and that doesn't even begin to discuss the psychological, the spiritual and the religious torture, telling these children that they were demons, that they were possessed by demons, telling the children that God was furious at them, that they were unworthy. It was absolutely, and by all accounts, including, I believe, Sherry Franke, but many others, Kevin Franke, these children likely would have been dead had this courageous young boy not escaped and went to a neighbor to let the neighbor know what was going on.
Yeah, it was miraculous, to say the least. Otherwise, we could be talking about murder cases here. Adam Steed, I know you had your own experience with Jodi Hildebrandt. Not a positive one. That's putting it lightly. From your perspective, she was supposed to be some sort of a counselor. She's supposed to be helping people. How does this all get twisted and turned in this way? Why and how do you think all of that occurred based upon your experience?
Yeah, what a letdown. She was supposed to be a help, and she turned out to be just a total serial predator. And we came to Jodi. The church sent us to Jodi. The church leaders did, and we suspect that they did this to hurt me. I was a whistleblower to change laws for child abuse for Boy Scouts of America and sexual abuse in Idaho, and we moved to Utah. And I think it was an inside job from the church leaders to secretly send us into Jodi, make us feel like we were doing this so that she would destroy our life. My ex-wife sexually abused my daughter under Jodi, and they emailed back and forth all these plans of how they would try to make me look like I was doing this stuff. Jodi fraudulently hid the emails from the courts. We now have those emails. I looked at them the other day. Total grounds for a criminal case against my ex-wife. Jodi's so it's just crazy. Kevin Franke sends me different people wrapped up in these courts. It's the weirdest thing. I'm just seeing a pattern over and over. Jodi's like a serial predator of adult women. She makes the women torture their families or hurt their families. She's off the hook, but there's all these women that have done it under her. I don't know how to, it's just bizarre.
So, John Dehlin, why would she do this? Is it just evil? Is there something else that was driving her to this conduct? I mean, you're there, you're being sent clients from the church to help families heal, and you end up abusing 4 children, being criminally convicted of it?
Yeah, I think Jodi Hildebrandt's Connections was run like a cult, and Jodi Hildebrandt was the cult leader. And most often, all the behavior of cult leaders can usually be distilled down to 3 things: sex, power, and money. There's good indication that Jodi Hildebrandt was lesbian, and we know from Sherry Franke's book and from Kevin and others that eventually Jodi ends up kicking Kevin out of his own bed, and she was sleeping with Ruby. So the sex part's there, the power's there. In Mormon culture, the Mormon churches run sort of like a patriarchy. Women don't have a lot of power or influence. This was a way for Jodi to gain a lot of power. And then money. We know that Jodi Hildebrandt's home alone was worth something between $3 and $5 million. And we know that she made millions and millions of dollars, not just from members of the Mormon Church, but from the Mormon Church itself, that in many instances would literally pay the therapy bills of Jodi's, I don't want to say Jodi's clients or patients, I want to say Jodi's victims. So sex, power, and money, I think, are 3 of the best explanations.
Yeah, Adam, is that the take you got as well?
Well, Jodi definitely loved power. She loved money. She loved women. I can tell you, Sherry wrote that in her book, I guess, but I can tell you firsthand from seeing her that, she definitely has a fascination with adult women. She definitely is a serial predator focused on adult women. She definitely gets women to torture their children, torture their husbands, torture family members, relationships, friends. And then once she makes these women complicit to that, she has an incredible amount of control over them. I heard through the grapevine that the reason my ex doesn't sue Jodi or turn on her is because Jodi has way too much dirt on her. I mean, Jodi literally was a mastermind of the criminal court or the civil court process, and how to get these women through these crazy situations of power and abuse. And there's just so many cases I'm starting to see that are similar, of children being hurt under these women that Jodi was coaching and actually being part of. And all the boundaries are blurred of the type of relationship.
Beyond blurred, they're like erased totally.
Well, in the emails, they're talking about, each other's butts, like my ex and Jodi, and how they look good in these outfits, and are you bringing your nurse outfit? It was one of the girls' comments to another one when they did set up the interview, or set up the situation where my daughter was sexually abused.
All right, Adam Steed and John Dehlin are going to stay with us. Still to come, is Jodi Hildebrandt a threat to society?
Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You didn't do that in this case. In this case, you terrorized children.
Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend?
She's guilty.
Or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed!
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Defendant stated repeatedly, I hit him.
She may end up taking the stand. Her first trial ended with a hung jury. They haven't proven anything.
Will a jury finally agree on a verdict? We know who did it.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage coming soon following jury selection on Court TV.
Your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children. Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You didn't do that in this case. In this case, you terrorized children, and the results have been tragic.
That was the sentencing of Jodi Hildebrandt, and yet the judge was not happy with her for obvious reasons. She was supposed to help heal a family and ends up abusing children. Think about that. Just think about that for a second. Now, she pleaded guilty. There was no trial. And then and she did speak at her sentencing. So I want you to take a listen to her at her sentencing. Remember, she's admitted everything that she was accused of and charged with.
Love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which would have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution as an outcome.
You heard her there on her sentencing day, right? I didn't want to go to trial because I wanted to protect the children. Well, now she's filed a motion to withdraw that guilty plea. So apparently, I guess she wants to go to trial and wants to make the kids come into court and testify. So she is trying to withdraw that plea. She also apparently will have her first eligibility for parole coming up in December of 2026. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. It's about the future. Is Jodi Hildebrandt a threat to society? And I think they'll be part of the analysis of the parole board when they take a listen to her case. But you heard her, she just wanted what was best for the kids, apparently. Just didn't know how to do it. Adam Steed, John DeLynn still with us. John, let me ask you, do you think she would be a threat to society if she got out? Like if she's released on parole?
Absolutely. I made a list of all the people that could be threatened by Jodi Hildebrandt, including her niece, Jessie Hildebrandt, who courageously came out as a whistleblower to let the world know what Jodi did to them long before Jodi ever hurt Adam Paul Steed and his family and the Frankes and so many other families who went to Connections or the Moms of Truth. I think Jodi would be a threat to Kevin Franke, to the Franke children. I think Jodi would be a threat to all the Connection families and Moms of Truth families, like like Adam Paul Steed said, who she has dirt on. I think Jodi Hildebrandt showed no remorse, no contrition, and no empathy. She, displayed zero acknowledgement for what she's done, any remorse, any culpability, any responsibility. So she's shown no contrition to the point where I think, as someone with a psychology PhD, I can't formally diagnose her, but I think there's a high likelihood that Jodi Hildebrandt would qualify for antisocial personality disorder, which many people equate with being psychopathic, having no conscience. I think she also would probably meet criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. And I just want to also make sure we mention that, Jodi is not the only Mormon or LDS therapist that has abused or harmed her clients. There's a systemic problem with the Mormon Church that deems masturbation and pornography as a sin next to murder, and that pays for and recommends a whole army of therapists in Utah and Idaho, Arizona, California to treat, normative human behavior as a severe sexual addiction likened unto murder. If you add that to the Mormon Church's teachings of demonic possession, of end times, that Jesus is coming any minute, and even this Visions of Glory book that inspired not just Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, but also Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and so many other people. The larger systemic threat remains out there, even if Jodi stays behind bars eternally. And that's some of these more dangerous Mormon teachings that the Mormon Church needs to denounce, because I can list 5 to 10 therapists just over the past 5 years that have been charged with sexually abusing clients. Just this week, another one has come out, and they're going to keep coming out until the Mormon Church denounces some of these doctrines that empower these therapists to claim so much power and to charge so much money to these Mormon families.
Adam Steed, would you be concerned if Jodi Hildebrandt was granted parole?
Oh, absolutely. I'm concerned for my family right now. We have crazy men showing up to our house with guns and handcuffs, saying that there's 5 warrants for my arrest, and they're looking for they said that the judge ordered that they had permission to bug my children's cars. They've been stalking my children. There are no warrants for my arrest that we know of. We're filing with criminal police. Like, my daughter's about ready to come forward on sexual abuse criminal charges that stem right back to Jodi. I mean, she's a powerful lady in Utah. She's worked with, she can harass and hurt people from behind bars. She's in neck deep with the church leaders. I mean, the guy that sat with her and Mike hearing way back in the day while they were trying to make me look like a child abuser, even though they secretly sexually abused my daughter, and it's all documented now, and now we have the emails. And it's just horrific. The guy that sat with her was Elder Hillam, who was over like the first presidency he was the president of the first quorum of the 70 for the Mormon Church, and was majorly over scouting, and in the scouting perversion files that came out in the big lawsuit where scouting got his name's in letters hiding pedophiles. And I mean, the problem you got is that the family courts in Utah will always say, we're hiding all these we're stealing all these family court stuff because we want to protect the children. But what you got here is a real serious problem, and that's that you've got a therapist and others, but Jodi Hildebrandt, coaching women intimate details on how to fool the courts and hurting countless others while she runs off with the women and the money and the power. Unreal. And the courts have ruled on her side. And now you've got this situation where these families are slowly coming forward and reevaluating what happened when these lives were destroyed. And Adam, there's so many of them.
Yeah, we're out of time, but we appreciate it. Adam Steed, John DeLynn, we appreciate your insight and your time. And I just want to point out, Court TV has not independently verified some of Adam's claims. We just can't, but it's Adam's story and he's telling it. But we do know what happened with Jodi Hildebrandt. Now, the world of family blogging is complicated, it's nuanced, and obviously what happened with Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt is pretty much worst case scenario. My guess is most parents go into this with great intentions of being able to spend more time with the family and make a living at the same time. The problem occurs when the clicks become more important than the kids. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.